Hey guys, welcome back to Sam Rick's Reviews. In today's video, I will be counting down the 18 Pixar villains from my least favorite to my favorite. And before we get into this video, remember to subscribe and hit that notification bell because I publish videos every day. Also, comment down below what is your list. And disclaimer: this is my opinion, so no one's list is the right list. And I won't be including movies like The Good Dinosaur, Inside Out, Finding Dory, as they do not have a real villain, and it's more of a struggle for the main character than an actual antagonist. And anyway, let's get into this video. So last in 18th place is Darla from Finding Nemo. Now I struggled if I was going to put her on here or not because she's not really a villain. She's just a kid, a bad kid who doesn't treat animals really well. And she shakes the fish bags and kills the fish. Now, to us, it's not that big of a deal, but Pixar puts you through the eyes of the fish, so it makes her seem like a bigger villain. But if you put it out of context, she's not really a villain at all, and she's not that great of a person, but she does belong in the 18th. So coming up at number 17 is Mordo from Brave. Now, Mordo from Brave is an interesting one, as you'd think he'd be higher up, but he's not. Just because he's just big and he's just a greedy person who became a bear after talking with the witch, and that's all he really is. There's really nothing much to talk about for Mordo. He's not a great villain. They gave him a short, The Legend of Mordo, which is basically just information that you do not need to know. But anyway, Mordo comes in. Coming up in 16th place is Jackson Storm. Now, I wish Jackson Storm would have been put in the movie more, and he could have been way up higher, as did Chick Hits. But Jackson Storm he's more of an antagonist than a villain, but I had to put him on here because he's pretty rude to Lightning McQueen, and I don't know, he's just not the best villain. He's only in it for like 4 minutes. Armie Hammer does a good enough job. They just didn't use the character to his full potential. Coming up in 15th place, I also 15 and 14. I also didn't know if I should put him on the list, but I did. And it's Johnny Worthington. Johnny Worthington is basically just a foil to Mike and Sully's college days. He's not really a villain. He has no evil intentions. He and his group are just basically jerks. They're not really evil. They don't really have a plan or goals. They just don't like Uzma Kappa, and they don't want to see them succeed. But they do pick on Mike, and they're not the best. He's not, Johnny Worthington is not in the top 10 material at all, or even 11 or 12. Number 14 is Sid Phillips from Toy Story. Now, he, like Darla, isn't really a villain because, again, he's just a kid, but he's way higher than Darla, as Darla's just a harmless kid shaking a bag. She's excited to see the fish. But as for Sid, he actually gets his hands on real dynamite and explosives, and he blows up toys. Now, breaking toys and hurting toys isn't bad at all, as they're not real. But without contents of the movie, Pixar does a good job of putting you through the eyes of the toys, and through the eyes of the toys, he's a maniac who's just wanting to blow him up. So he's basically like a toy terrorist. Coming up in 13th spot is Evelyn Dever from Incredibles 2. She's the most predictable villain of all the Pixar villains. I mean, come on, guys. If you did not see her, then you're not that good at finding villains. As when I was watching this, I was like, just the design of her looks evil. They give her so much. Her eyes are so dark. She has black under her eyes. Her hair is a mess. And she just looks evil. How she talks, and especially the closer you get to when the reveal, you can definitely see that they didn't really do a good job. But we can't blame Brad Bird on this, as Pixar switched The Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4 date. So essentially, Brad Bird even stated that they basically just threw the screenslaver and Evelyn Dever in at the last minute. They didn't get as much development as Syndrome because, Pixar kind of chopped their time. Coming in at 12th place, I have to have Chick Hits. Now, he's not really a villain like Jackson Storm. He's more of a antagonist, and he's really a jerk like Johnny Worthington. But where I think he's better than Johnny Worthington and Jackson Storm is they really flesh out his character, not to the character arc point, but to a lot of screen time, and you really get more time to see that he is a real jerk. And other than Jackson Storm, he actually puts them in harm's way. He could kill a car. He hits into them, and then he throws them into walls, and he hits them off the road. And it's a good villain for the for 12 to 18, but he's not top 10 material. Coming in with 11th place is Otto from WALL-E. Otto from WALL-E is interesting as he's not really a flesh and blood or even a car. He's just basically a machine. So he's pretty hard to place as he doesn't really have evil intentions. Well, he does. He doesn't want them to go back to Earth. He kind of wants them to rely on them, and he's the most. So far, he has the most power out of these villains as he can control the whole ship and he can manipulate everybody on the ship into thinking what they do. And he almost kills WALL-E, and he doesn't listen to his captain's orders. So he definitely earns his 11th place. Before we get into our top 10, remember to subscribe, hit the like button as it helps me get past the YouTube algorithm and more people can watch this channel. And then the channel grows and then more content, better content comes out. Anyway, coming at number 10 is Miles Axelrod. This was the point when in Cars 2, it's not the best Pixar movie, but I feel nostalgic for it because I watched it all the time. But I never really liked this character as a kid. But now when I'm older, you can see that this is before twist villains at Disney really became a thing. Maybe it kickstarted it, but this is actually a good villain. You think the Lemons and Professor Z's all behind it, and that Miles Axelrod is just a big snob, but then you find out that Miles Axelrod wants to make oil look bad by making oil. It makes no sense, but he's kind of a cool villain. His design's cool. His intentions are just kind of confusing, but he definitely is in the top 10. Coming in at 9th place is Chef Skinner from Ratatouille. Now, I love Ratatouille. It's one of my favorite Pixar movies, and he's just a great character in it. He's so funny, especially when he's trying to get Remy, and he keeps thinking himself as crazy, and his lawyer thinks he's crazy, and everybody around him thinks he's crazy. And he kind of is crazy, but that's why he likes Skinner so much. Coming up at number 8 is Gabby from Toy Story 4. One of the newest movies. Of course, Onward's not on here, so she is the newest villain. Gabby is interesting as she's redeemed, and she's not really a true villain. She does have evil intentions as to kidnap Woody and take out his voice box, which is kind of weird if you put it in human. If it was a human, that would be pretty weird. But Gabby is just a fun character. Well, not really a fun character, but she's intimidating with her dummies. My sister does not like the Toy Story 4 because the dummies scare her, and yeah, it is kind of like a horror movie. And Gabby helps that. In 7th place is Henry J. Waternoose from Monsters, Inc. Now, Henry J. Waternoose, or Mr. Waternoose, is also a twist villain that I did not see coming. My first view of Monsters, Inc. But, you know, Waternoose is a good villain as, as he does, try to kidnap Boo, and he does go along with Randall. Randall's not on this list. I should mention that I'm only picking the main villain from all of these. Randall is more just has evil intentions than an actual villain, and Mr. Waternoose comes in at 7th. Coming in 6th place is from one of my favorite Pixar movies, the most underrated Pixar movie. It's Hopper from A Bug's Life. Hopper's great, voiced by Kevin Spacey. But anyway, Hopper's great. He's a great character, great voice, and just his death is probably one of the most brutal Pixar deaths, and he doesn't have evil intentions, really. Well, he does. He's kind of a bully to the ants, and he really picks on the ants, which is kind of funny, as it takes on the Aesop's Fable, but he comes in he's not top 5 material. Coming in 5th place is Stinky Pete from Toy Story 2. Stinky Pete is probably second most evil of the Toy Story villains, and one of the most evil. This list is based on my favorites, not the most evil. But anyway, Stinky Pete would still be up there. I mean, Stinky Pete is a great villain. He tries to kill Woody. He rips off his arm twice, and he's just got the most evil intentions. And he mind washes Jesse into thinking that life will be better stuck in a museum. But anyway, Stinky Pete comes at number 5. So my battery's about to die, so I'm gonna go a little faster. Coming in 4th place is Charles Muntz, and these next 4 villains have been praised a lot, so I won't praise him as much. But Charles Muntz is just a great villain, as it really shows to Carl's childhood hero is actually the villain, and it kind of gives a message of try not to look up to your idols that much, and well, not really, but you know what I'm saying if you've seen. Coming up in 3rd place, I have Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco. Now, this guy is evil all around. Killed Hector, tried to kill Miguel, and thank God for Miguel's relatives for deciding to put him on there, and he got crushed by a belt twice. Coming up in 2nd place, I have to have Lotso Hugging Bear, who is also evil, as he manipulates everybody at the daycare and really wants to be just like the supreme ruler. He's basically a dictator for all the toys there, and he's just a great villain. If you've seen Toy Story and watched a lot of Pixar villains ranked, you know. And in 1st place, I'm not going to talk about, it's Syndrome. Well, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. He's a great villain. You actually understand his motivations, and it's not just, I want to take over the world. You actually have a real reason. And there you have it. There's my list of all 18 Pixar villains ranked. Share down below yours. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Or all of them. Thanks for watching.